This is Fixin Fords by Wieman. About me, my family, my dad is Mike and my mom is Shelly, and I have a brother Levi who's a freshman. My future plans are to attend Lake Area Technical College for precision technology and ag business. Activities and hobbies are football, FFA, 4-H, youth group, snowmobiling, hunting, and fishing. My mentor was Rob Schrog. He's been employed at Wieman Land and Auction for 17 years. He used to work at Dykstra Auto Body and he graduated from Marion High School. My advisor was Kelly Dunkelberger. She's an ag teacher here at Parker High School. She's the FFA advisor and she's been at Parker for 7 years. Project overview. Restoring a 1960 Ford F100 custom cab. First, I found the pickup and purchased it. Then I started researching ideas on 1960 Ford pickups to see what other people have done to get an idea of what I wanted to do. Ordered parts and supplies to get started on the pickup, and then actually working on the pickup, so taking it apart and putting it back together. And I have spent over 2,500 hours and spent about $5,000 so far. My research paper. My thesis is restoring a pickup is a good learning skill. It takes a lot of time and money. The tools and products that are needed for the restoration are hard to always find. Restoring vehicles is in high demand these days and very popular. People want to restore their old high school vehicle and that's been sitting in their garage. They want them to look just like they bought new from the dealership. My main points were cost, interior restoration, and buying parts. Project process. I picked the pickup I wanted to restore, and then taking the pickup apart to see what I had, ordering parts I needed, repairing what I could, prepping for paint, and actually painting. So my first process was taking the pickup apart. New cab. So I had to get a new cab because the other one was so rusted out and bad, we would have had way too much money into it that it would have just been better to buy a new pickup. So here we bought a spare cab, and then we had to cut all the bolts because they're all so rusty that you couldn't get them off. Needed space to put body parts, so I did this out at Wieman auction. So I had a bunch of parts laying around there. Sandblasting. So after that, I started sandblasting everything. So sandblasting each part to get all the old paint off. So that's what it looks like after I sandblasted it. And then during sandblasting, I found a lot more rust everywhere. And then after that, we weld. So we cut rust out and weld new in, like we did in these pictures here. New steps in cab, which are in the picture down low there. We had to cut the old step out, and I bought new steps on LMC to put in there. New cab corners, and so that would be in the picture up top there. I bought them off LMC too. We had to cut the old ones out. So we had to measure what the new ones looked like, and then we took a plasma cutter and we cut all them out. Took good metal from old cab and welded it onto new cab. So on my other cab, there were some spots that weren't rusty, so we welded it onto we cut them out and we welded it into the spot onto this new cab I had. And then form metal, we had to form some metal because you couldn't buy it already made. So in that picture to the right there, we had to form metal by heating it up and welding. And when we cut the new one out, so then we glued and welded that one in. And then body work. So first you gotta rough up the surface for Bondo, and then you put Bondo on the spots that got new panels or dents, and then you take a DA or you hand sand it and you sand it smooth. And I really never had a hand. You have to have a flat hand to feel it, and I always could never feel it if they're flat, so Rob would always tell me if they're low or too high or whatnot. Then we put our first coat of primer on, and we just took a paint gun and sprayed primer. And then halfway through my project, I decided I wanted to put a better motor in it. So my uncle gave me, found an Explorer, and he let me take the motor out of it, which is a 5.0 out of a 99 Explorer. So I put new valve covers and all new gaskets in and painted the motor and mounted it in that pickup, which we had to make new motor mounts for it. And then we put all the pieces back together to make sure the body lines lined up, because there's a body line that goes across the fender, the door, and the box. And when we sanded and did body work, we wanted to make sure they all lined up. And then after that, we had to sand it, and then we sprayed primer over everything again, and we guide coated everything, which you literally hold a rattle can upside down and you splatter it on there, and then you block sand everything. So you take a big block and you put sandpaper on the end, and you just sand the whole pickup, because that'll make everything straight and it won't make it wavy. And then we put our second coat of primer on after that. And then after that, we had to disassemble everything. So we took everything back apart, sanded the primer again, because if you don't sand the primer, your paint won't stick to the surface, and then over years it'll just fall off. And then hung up all the parts. As you can see in the picture on the right, the paint room was very full of all my stuff. And then we had to tape all our lines for everything. First, I did bed liner and everything. So this is bed liner. I did the bed liner in the cab because it works as a sound barrier, so it won't be as noisy, and it helps hide a lot of flaws, because the pickup wasn't perfect. Because I don't know, but anyways, I did it. I did black underneath the cab, in the box underneath the box, and yeah, and then inside I did a paint bed liner, which is the same color as the outside of the pickup, so it'll kind of match. So then I actually put paint on, and before you put paint, you put sealer and you let it dry for about 10 minutes, and you have to spray paint on within 72 hours. So then right after the sealer dried, we'd throw our paint on, and then the clear coat. And the paint I used is called Stormy Blue, and it's about $400 a gallon. And same with the clear coat, was about $400 a gallon. And we went through all of that and had to get a little bit more to do the box. My learning stretch is taking the pickup apart, learning how to sandblast, which I've never done. I've never done body work, and I've never prepped for paint. And painting was very new to me. That was something I really wanted to learn and do. Buying parts, I learned that it's hard to buy parts. You got to know what you're buying. Because I messed up and bought a lot of wrong parts, but luckily we could return them. And then putting the pickup back together over and over again, you get pretty good at taking it apart and putting it back together. Problems encountered: the rust problem. As you can see in the picture on the right, there was so much rust to this pickup, and we had to make so many panels and stuff. It's just a lot of work. We did a lot of cutting on this pickup. Needed a new cab. Like I said, we had to get that new cab because that first pickup was so rusty. We would have had way too much money and time into it. Getting parts. I have a bunch of parts back ordered right now because they're hard to get and nobody has them, and everything's always back ordered, so I can't get them. Time was big for me because I have a job and it was hard to find time to get to work on it. So this winter I kind of took off some time and had a lot of time to work on this pickup. Painting. The paint room is not like a real paint room. It's got a little ventilation system and it's not clean, really. So when you paint, when you throw clear coat on, you can see little specks of dust in the clear coat, and to get them out, you gotta sand it and then buff it with a buffing wheel. The tailgate, the picture on the left, I ordered the wrong tailgate, so the tailgate on the picture there is for a 1960 Ford F100 step side, and mine is a 1960 Ford F100 style side, and it's a difference, I guess. So I guess I wasn't paying attention, and I had to get a new tailgate, and it wasn't cheap. And then the last one is I ran out of product when I was painting. one night we ran out of reducer, it's what you mix with the paint, because it's 1 to 1, so one part of paint to one part of reducer, and I totally wasn't paying attention. So luckily, one of my friends had some reducer that I could use, and we finished it that night. Thank you to Rob Schrog for teaching me everything and staying after work some nights to help me work on it. Riston, he also taught me a lot too. Wieman and auction, they let me store my stuff out there and let me work on it and use all their equipment. Mom and Dad for helping me, showing me what to do and stuff. And Keaton Lively, he helped me paint a couple nights and helped me do some body work and sand, which was pretty nice of him because sanding isn't fun, and it made the process a lot faster. Sierra Moore, she painted a little badge. She painted a little badge with a little paintbrush that I couldn't because I knew I'd mess up. Questions?